So
I think that they do the rolling outages during the summer too, because it gets when it's so hot. A lot of power usage.
Yeah. Well, I forget where I was reading it. Oh, I think it was the Morning Brew. They were saying that, you would think Texas, oil country, no problem with any of it. And it's like, no, that's not true. That I think the wind turbine is they're currently their biggest form of power generation, which I didn't know that. So
yeah, just check YouTube for you. It looks good.
Yep, we're live. Scare people.
Yeah, I'm really happy using this camo now. This camera.
Yeah, that too is on my list of things to do to start to do over on the other machine.
I think I'm going to switch my account to the lifetime. It's a good deal.
So what happened here? Somehow I must have closed the Facebook page. Oops, my fault. So what is your current weather situation?
Oh, this is brutal. I was just out this morning. We got about 8 or 9 inches, but down by Midway Airport, they got almost 17 inches.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we got pretty bad, but it's basically had measurable snow for the last at least 12 days. Crazy.
Well, we got a break today. In fact, the sun came out and it went to about 36 for a while.
Yeah, it's been single digits for the last week and a half too.
Well, I hate to see that because then, the water starts to run, then everything freezes tonight. And now you've got black ice all over the place.
Well, it's been, we were getting all the snow in the single digits. And that's what's kind of crazy. I've never seen this much snow with that low of a temperature.
Yeah.
At least as far as I can remember.
Forgive me for not looking at you. I'm just trying to make sure I have everything set up the way I want it. And then I got to go back and get my usual drink that I forget constantly. But I've got a good excuse tonight because pizza upside down. The floor is fine. It's the carpet
and you weren't able to eat after all that too.
Yeah, well, that sort of went by the wayside too. It's like, oh my, whole different set of problems. Okay, so everything looks good. I think I'm set for what I want to be doing. I want to put something in the chat room for you. Oops, can't type.
Okay.
So thought you should know. He said he posted something on Facebook. I did not get a chance to see it, but
no, I didn't see it.
Yeah, so
it's horrible.
Yeah, well, I think it was one of those that it was the timing was.
It's on his page. He has a picture of him.
Is it? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out then when I get a chance.
I'll make a comment.
Okay. All right. So I hold the fort down. I'm going to go grab a glass of water and I'll be right back.
Okay. I won't be able to let anybody in.
Okay, back again. I don't know who's coming because I didn't really get any responses from anyone. So we may be doing our own little dog and pony show here.
I'm sure people will be here. Still got 10 minutes.
Yeah. I think Jeff said he was definitely coming.
Yeah. Jeff won't miss it.
Yeah. But you know what? He forgot it was Tuesday, so I probably should send him the link.
I always send it to Guy because he never finds it.
Okay, so the there it is.
Yeah. He has a picture of me and Steve. I didn't even know that on his page, Frank.
Steve.
Max, Steve Sheridan.
Huh. Let's see.
Oh, Allison. This is Allison took it. God, that was almost 3 years ago now.
You know, there are times I look at the pictures, especially the ones that are popping up on Facebook now, because people are, you know, looking back at better times when things could all be wide open.
Yeah.
You know, and we have this situation now. So, and you can't believe. I mean, some of the times just don't make any sense.
No. So Max Talk seems like it was yesterday.
Yep.
Is my volume okay? I was up a little bit.
Yeah, no, you sound good. You sound good. Okay. Darn. Oh, that's what I was doing. Man, I have the attention span of a gnat.
Or something else I was going to tell you, and I can't remember.
You have the attention span of a gnat too, apparently.
No. Oh yeah, the pod swap. I was waiting for those. Those were supposed to be in the mail today. I ordered them. You know, for the AirPods.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna do a review of that once they come.
Yeah, I'll be anxious.
We'll do it on the show Thursday because
okay.
they were supposed to be here today, but apparently mailman couldn't make it. I mean, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I have. I mean, taking nothing away. I like the idea,
Pod swap. I'm sorry, it's called pod swap.
Yeah, I will be anxious to see what your experience is, because I look at that and I think, okay, yeah, it's $100, $49 each year for, you know, a genuine Apple replacement thing, but you know, I don't know.
They say they're genuine. They're just replacing the batteries.
Yeah,
that's what it says on our website.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Except when Jeff comes.
Okay, maybe I have audio now.
You do.
We do hear you.
Sweet.
Mr. Gammett.
How are you guys doing?
Doing very well. Glad you're here.
Yes.
Great to see you.
Yeah, it's good to be seen and to see you as well.
Chuck, I know I still owe you an email.
Don't worry about it, Jeff. I try to rip off a couple things every day, and then I'm back to being inundated, then try it again, back to inundated. So don't worry about it. I feel like there's so many different things I want to talk to you about, and we either don't get time or I forget them when we're talking, and then I think, oh my God, I forgot to talk to Jeff about that.
God, I'm in trouble, aren't I?
No, you're not in trouble.
I think my Bluetooth keyboard. Oh, never mind. It's all good.
I don't know. I'm going to go anxious to go try that. The Parallels got released for M1, the second update.
I don't know. I mean, I know that there are some things that are really difficult, but that will happen sooner or later. I got to believe that something it'll happen. It's just
they're going to have to. I mean, I want to be able to. That's what I do on the Intel Mac. I do the VMs for all the Mac OSs.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's a better range.
You guys get a lot of snow, Jeff?
Nope.
Not unlike us.
Unlike you, yeah. We have a couple inches on the ground, and it's stuck around for a few days, which is odd.
It's 12 straight days of measurable snow, and This morning I had to plow out at least 8 inches, and there's at least
Wow.
almost 2 feet probably on the ground.
Not even close for us.
Yeah, it's unusual.
Yeah, temperatures have been in the between like the mid 30s to the low 50s for quite a while.
Wow.
The last I guess was over the weekend. The temperature dropped down, and and it got like genuinely cold.
No,
You know,
it's
like,
been single digits
down
here for the
around
last
0.
week and a half.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. And
Yeah.
and today it was, I think we hit 41 again.
Jeez. Yeah, that jet stream is just zipping past you guys.
Yep. And it sucks because all that snow that's getting dumped on you, and that's ultimately just going to be lost. That snow that we needed to have fall in the mountains here so that there would be water for the rest of the year.
Yeah. Does Kelly have a different angle again?
And a whole new room. A whole new room. Are you?
A new camera.
And you just did the Zoom thing.
Yeah. Ooh.
Nice.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Sure. You look like the abominable snowman.
We are having a power outage here, so I am outside on my iPad.
That's dedication.
That's dedication. So
we'll see what happens because my light's going to disappear after a while.
If I lose power here, and it's more than just a few minutes, because my battery backups will keep me online and running for a few minutes. But yeah, if the power goes out here, I'm just going to go crack a beer and hang out on the couch or something. And you guys are on your own.
So MacVoices isn't taken down by power outages in Colorado. Jeez.
It's all about choosing the battles. And I know what happens if the power goes out here for more than like 30 seconds or so. It's going to be out for a while.
Not good.
Well, luckily it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, same here. Yep, guy's not coming.
Oh, good. We can talk about him.
Like him being here would have stopped us.
Yeah, good point.
He says everything is in kind of pieces with audio and video. I don't even want to know.
Knowing Guy, it's just a straight up disaster, whatever's happening.
I can imagine.
Guy, if you're listening, I love you, but why won't you just get a setup and just leave it alone?
Leave it be.
I
my
like to tinker
Rodecaster
too,
Pro, my Rodecaster Pro, and my pod mic, they don't move.
Well, or set. I mean, look, I know not everybody has this luxury, but I have a recording machine. Okay, that's pretty much 98% of what it does. It's its reason for being, and so I don't touch anything. Yeah, I don't. Nothing gets plugged or unplugged unless I have to, and I fire it up and everything works. So,
like we said, he got a new cam, a new preamp, and the whole M1 and Intel Mac bits and pieces apart.
Well, to be fair, it is Tuesday, so of course.
He says he's going to tell me about it tomorrow, hopefully. Might not have a show tomorrow either.
who is that? I got to turn my back on you guys. Don't do anything I shouldn't do.
Brittany, I don't know if I've ever seen you with glasses on.
Brittany?
Oh, yeah. That's a thing I wear when I'm more than, feet from something.
I totally get it.
Most computer usages it's not required. Am I talking out of the right mic?
Yes.
Sure sounds like it.
Okay, cool. It also might be a cheat for, when I didn't ever get around to putting on eyeliner.
Same.
Right?
I know.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Doesn't sound like your mic.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like you, Kelly.
It's not. It's not.
Oh.
It's the
Oh,
one
okay.
in my it's the one in my headphones.
Oh,
Okay.
Mm.
but
Can't tell where it is though.
But it does. You
Yeah,
do kind of
it's
sound
okay.
farther away.
Okay, I probably am.
Yeah.
If you do that, Kelly, you sound like you're on an AM radio. So
Yeah.
if you just let it hang, it's fine.
Okay.
Hello, Mark.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, Dave. Hey, Chuck. Hey, Kelly. Hey, Jeff.
Hey.
Okay, so we got 2 minutes after.
Is that better? I don't know. It might be.
Mm.
It might not be.
Yeah, it's not you. It's not what we're used to, but it's fine.
Yeah, it's not it's not my real microphone.
Oh,
I'm not
gotcha.
sure if it's
It's-
better or worse than your built-in. It depends on if the 13-inch Pro has the 2 speakers or not.
Well,
Sounds
Let-
pretty good.
let's find out if that's any better because I just switched microphones. Or
It
did I?
sounds like
Def-
higher
Sound
gain
of-
at least.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's higher
definitely more
gain.
room. But
Okay.
but I mean, either
Well-
one's fine.
Okay. What would you like, Chuck? Which one's better for you?
Camera
Flip a
one,
coin.
camera two.
I think the other one, Kelly. I
Camera two.
think
Okay.
as long as you don't, it's not scratching on your shirt. It's. I think that's definitely better.
I don't think it doesn't touch my shirt unless I do something
Yeah.
weird. So
Yeah.
Which side
Well,
is my best side? I know they're both good.
the front one.
That was a very obscure reference, just
And,
for basically people who were teenagers at the same time as me.
and see, unfortunately, Kelly, there was nothing that I could say to that was not going to get me in trouble.
And if I had asked the question in earnest, that would have said something very different about who I am as a person than when I make a reference to a popular 90s teenager cartoon.
I thought you were making a statement about yourself, but
Which
Jim-
side is my
Jim-
best side? No.
yeah.
So I was going to
Something.
guess it was Zoolander because it sounds like a Zoolander thing.
It
But now I'm thinking
does.
Johnny Bravo.
Daria.
It's Daria.
Daria.
Yeah.
Well, I was heading down the right path.
Yes. Yeah.
Jim is
Like
your
I
power-
have them all on DVD now that they finally got them on DVD.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Are you asking me something, Kelly?
Yeah, is your power out?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
Sorry.
I
and you
mentioned
came
I
anyway.
mentioned that right before you got on.
Probably
But
while I
I'm
was
in
going, oh my
California.
God, where's my microphone?
I'm in California, so it's
Oh, so you've hit 65 and it's time for the vest.
66. But it is kind of windy. I think that's
What
why
did I
there's
just
power
say?
outage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Oh.
very good.
Well,
Jim,
very
bless
good.
your heart.
Well, I'm not that cold yet, but I'm thinking, it might be 55 in an hour, and I am sitting outside.
Let me continue to rotate my computer and show you the foot of snow with the inch of ice on top of it outside my window right now. I was without power from Friday night till Saturday afternoon.
Oh my gosh.
It was
Wow.
50 in my house.
I'm not complaining.
It's not okay. No, but I've just presumed it was the same weather situation that we were having here. So
Well, there's
Oh.
no snow here.
I can
Yeah,
tell
but
you
I
right
think
now,
it's
there's
bad weather
2
front
feet
you're
of snow
getting.
sitting on my ground, and
yeah.
it's only 10 degrees here. So
See, I'm generally on a podcast with either David or Jeff, and so I will never have the worst weather of anybody.
Right.
So
My Twitter feed
Yeah.
is all filled of my friends in Austin with sledding down hills.
yeah, because in Austin it is bonkers. Like every county in
Yeah.
Austin was under some sort of advisory. The entire state
Dallas
was
too.
under a weather advisory not long ago. Like all of Texas. It was crazy town.
My boss and my friend, they haven't been online for two full days now. No power, no
Yeah.
internet.
It's
See,
weird though.
I'm
All my
feeling bad
Austin
now.
friends are tweeting like power outage continues, and I'm like, how are you tweeting?
Well, yeah. There's no power at Mr. Kelly's office, and so he's been working from home the last 2 days.
Oh, that explains why you're different.
Oh,
but not for
do you
the
need a
last
refill,
year.
Kelly?
I do. That's only my first glass of wine, and it's going to go fast.
What's the problem? It's 5 o'clock. Shouldn't he be done working now?
That's adorable. You've ever met.
I obviously did not mean it seriously. I have met Mr. Kelly before.
Yes.
All right, guys, 8:06. Let's get it going.
All right.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
Underpants.
It's been a while.
I knew
was
it was
waiting-
coming.
I didn't.
Ellie, did
didn't.
you notice I had to look away from the camera because I saw the look on your face? I knew you knew.
I'm looking straight at the camera, so I don't see anything that's going on. So they can be, folks, they can be doing all kind of obscene gestures, and I would never see them until later.
Well, you did
You
miss the
give us
dance the one day.
ideas.
You know, I hadn't
Yes.
thought about that, but now that you say,
Yeah, but you are being recorded. Don't forget. So, all right, let's try this in take 2. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. And folks, this is MacVoices Live on YouTube and Facebook. We do this Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And for the rest of you, everybody else in any other time zones that can't make it at those times, the edited versions of the show get posted in the feeds because we want everybody to enjoy the wisdom of our panel. And boy, what a panel it is. So as usual, I'm going to go around the room, introduce everyone. We'll get to our topic and see what develops. So taking my screen, as I always do, first up, Mr. David Ginsburg. David, good to have you.
Good to be here. Just digging out of lots of snow here in Chicago, and I'm tired from doing that, but glad to be here with you guys tonight.
That's good. Well, if you fall asleep, we have the chair wired, and all we have to do is hit the button, and you'll wake up. Yeah. Mr. Jeff Gammon is back, also in a snowy climate. Jeff, welcome. Good to see you.
It may be a snowy climate, but where's the snow?
I can give you some.
That's that would be great. Thank you.
You don't have snow. Seriously, Jeff, you don't have snow, or you just have cold?
Well, it's been like 30s and 40s, low 50s, and then over the weekend it did drop down to like what people would expect, teens, below 0, and we got a couple inches of snow, and today it's back up to 41. And my big decision today going outside was, do I wear the lightweight fleece or the lighter weight fleece?
Okay, that says something about it. Yeah. So speaking of cold, Mr. Jim Ray is here looking like he's calling in from the North Pole when actually he's calling in from his porch.
Yep, California.
And just how cold is it there, Jim?
It's a frigid 66 degrees.
That's shorts weather out here.
Yeah. And now half the
Yeah,
nation
for a
is going to be
while,
sending,
but not for an hour.
half the nation is going to be sending you angry emails, Jim. But we should say
But
Jim
we have
has
no
been.
power.
Yes, Jim is very diligent. He's here without power, but he found a way to get some Wi-Fi and use his iPad, so he'll be here for as long as the battery holds out.
Oh,
So-
this is LTE, baby.
Excuse me.
Nice.
Ooh. Joining us also from a cold climate, Ms. Brittany Smith. Brittany, welcome. It's good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Which is your best side, Brittany?
Oh, they're both good.
Okay. I can ask it. I just can't answer it.
I wouldn't have
Kel-
cared if you'd answered it. It was a quote. Anyway.
Yeah, I knew, but I didn't know that. Kelly Gammon is here too. Well, welcome, Kelly,
Yes.
with a different background, different mic, different everything.
different everything, because I'm not the only person working from home at my house right now. So I voluntarily ejected myself from the office and took up shop in a different part of the house. So you get, wrong hand, you get tiki mugs over my shoulder and some Disney paraphernalia as well. So there you go.
Okay, different look, different sound.
And full of snow and ice here. I think we have approximately half the degrees that Jim has, and a foot of snow and about an inch of ice on everything. I did not have power for a while over the weekend. I don't recommend it.
Oh, wow. Not good.
It's not half in Kelvin.
That's true.
I don't
Spoken-
like the way you people are doing winter. It just seems harsh.
It is. It's not fun. 50 degrees in the house is not within normal operating parameters. I do not recommend it.
Yeah, but it's keeping all the computers cool, so they run that much better, Kelly. Look at it that way.
That I will tell you, with as soon as the lights went out, it was about 10:30, and I was almost asleep, and all of a sudden everything made a weird noise, and everything downstairs started beeping because it's all connected to UPS units. And Mr. Kelly, we got everything shut down and everything, and Mr. Kelly looked at me and went, "I see the gears are turning. Are you just trying to figure out what all is charged?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So what's charged? What situation are the batteries in? How much charge am I going to need from other stuff? If we have to go somewhere, what's the hotspot situation look like? So yeah, I was covering all the important bases.
Yeah. And we're not even doing emergency preparedness tonight, folks, but Kelly just gave
We're
you
not?
a quick idea.
Yeah, now
Last
that I
but
have two USB-C laptops, I have to find a battery that will charge those so that I can
Kelly,
make sure
just
those
plug
have
them
power
into
too.
each other and they'll continuously charge each other.
Is that the loop, the Tesla loop they're always talking about? That's what it is? It's just
That's
a
the
cable.
Tesla loop. It's just two MacBooks
Oh.
connected.
Oh,
Okay.
man. Last but absolutely not least, I think he's really bummed out with Mardi Gras being canceled. Mr. Mark Fuccio. Mark, good to see you.
Hello, Chuck. Hello, everyone. Yes, it's Fat Tuesday, and because of COVID, Mardi Gras is canceled in New Orleans. Rio is canceled. Carnival is canceled in Rio, which is where that image is from. And I guess the whole world is doing something different today to celebrate, or not, as the case may be.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway, tell us, what is
Yeah.
tonight's topic?
Well, tonight's topic, I have to tell you, we've talked about productivity, and MacVoices tends to focus on productivity a whole lot more. And I had a bit of a realization this week, and I thought we would talk about Apple Entertainment. Not just, obviously, so somebody's going to say, yeah, well, you're talking about Apple TV, the service. Not necessarily. I realized, this should not be a surprise to me, but I realized that I spend more time in front of my iPad or my Mac for entertainment purposes than I do my TV screen. And that really it kind of surprised me, or I should say connected to an Apple device, because I am counting audio programming in there as well. And so I thought we'll take a break from productivity discussions and talk about, our Apple entertainment experiences. I keep trying to stick TV in there.
If you can, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a whole different, I guess a whole different mindset for me, but I realize, I don't watch that much TV, but I do watch a reasonable amount of YouTube, and not necessarily just purely for entertainment, but it pops up there and, you get seduced by it and there you go. So I guess I'll throw it out and let everybody start. What devices do you use as consumption machines? Not primarily as consumption machines, but all of them, none of them, some of them. And Mark, we'll start at the bottom of the hierarchy here, because I know I'm not sure how much of a TV watcher or an entertainment person you are, but do you use your Apple devices for entertainment?
Oh yeah, I certainly do, and probably the one I use most is the iPad. It's a great size, great screen. The new one has good speakers, and depending on what source is, the latency to HomePods is horrible. So it is a very not pleasant experience. But if you're watching Apple TV shows, it's provides. So I do that if it's video. Also listen a lot to other concerts and things, and play those through the HomePods. And we've talked about those, I think, on other shows. So yes, they have definitely infiltrated, some of the, entertainment space, as well as I think I've probably bought only one physical book in the past, 3 years, and almost everything else I've bought from Amazon. Shock, their Kindle app, and I read those predominantly on the iPad. Sometimes on the phone if I'm waiting somewhere, but since no one's going anywhere for COVID, there's no reason to you have to read something on your iPhone. So that's basically what I do. So back to you.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Kelly,
Yeah.
let's go to you. And I guess I'm not sure if this is fair. I don't know if you or Jeff should be the ones that I point to as far as gaming goes, because gaming is a form of entertainment that I just simply do not do. I just don't. So does gaming figure into your Apple entertainment sphere?
Basically, no. I occasionally will play a game, but if I'm going to play games, they're not from Apple. I have a Switch, a Nintendo Switch, and I play games on that. So like if I'm not playing, I think I have a couple like match 3 games, your Bejeweled style situation. I have a couple of those on my phone, and that's about it. As far as games go, like I've put other games on there, but I don't ever really play them. I've taken 2 runs at the Apple Arcade free trials, and it just doesn't stick. Like the stuff there is not stuff that I'm really playing. I have occasional games that I play on my iPad, but I do enjoy tower defense, but I have like a couple of those installed and I don't play them a ton. I don't really play games on my Apple TV, but I consume entertainment with a mix of stuff. I don't really watch a lot on my computer. I do watch a lot on Apple TV, and I watch a ton on my iPad. Sometimes on my Apple TV, I will use my AirPods with it. If I'm watching and maybe Mr. Kelly's doing something else, or I'm trying to do something quietly and I can watch, I can sort of watch TV by myself if I put my AirPods in, so I'll do that. Or like with the Apple TV or with the iPad, but that's most of where I'm like consuming entertainment. I will play my Switch hooked up to the television as well. Like I'm using the big screen TV a lot, but not necessarily for games from Apple. Anyway, I have a theory about the Apple TV, but that's a separate conversation.
Okay. Well, we'll come around to that.
Yeah.
But I use the AirPods a lot of times for the iPad as well. And Mark mentioned the latency, but I have to say that at least for the iPad and for what I'm doing with it, I don't find that if there's latency, it is so I'm able to overlook it. Put it that way.
When I use them with the Apple TV, I don't notice it at all. So I do, and I watch a lot. I watch something streaming every day, probably on my iPad or on my Apple TV, on one or the other. Because a lot of times it's because I work from home, so I'll watch 15 minutes of something while I'm eating lunch, or a half-hour episode of some show that I'm currently in the midst of watching. And I'll do that like while I'm eating lunch and sit with my iPad and watch TV while I'm eating. So I do, and then like in the afternoon or evening, that usually shifts to the television instead of just something quick that I'm doing because I'm in the midst of something else and it's convenient to have the iPad in front of me. I still buy a lot of books, but to Mark's point, like I spend a fair amount of time on my Kindle as well. So you'll have to ask Jeff more about Apple games because I'm not the person for that.
Okay, fair enough. Jim, what I know you do a lot of programming. I don't know if you consider that work or recreation or both. But how do you use your Apple devices for entertainment?
Does Xcode count as gaming?
Yes, because sometimes you lose.
Yeah, that's
Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. You never know.
And it'll drive you crazy. Yeah, I don't really game too much. Pretty rare. I never, not on any device, don't have a switch or anything else. I do use my iPad like a ton, just like Mark was saying. Read books on it. I have like thousands of physical books, but that like stopped like 7 years ago, and now I don't want to touch a physical book. I just, mostly on the Kindle app on my iPad. Watch YouTube on the iPad and several other, streaming services. So I spend a lot of time, and probably more than I'd care to admit. And podcasts. Let's see. And I don't know, to watch, walking, it really helps enable that. That's kind of entertainment. I guess that's considered more fitness, but it's kind of gamification of exercise. And it really helped me. I think, before the pandemic, I've been walking, multi-thousand steps a day for like 6 years. But when I got my watch, I started like really increasing the pace. Because I would look at my watch and I would be like, oh, you know what, I could do, I could do a higher pace, or my heart rate isn't that, it gave me that feedback loop that really helped improve things. But the biggest thing for me as far as entertainment is the iPad, reading and watching video. That's the biggest thing.
Okay.
And I'm gonna put my camera off. My wife says the power's on, so I'll listen to you while I walk in and set everything up, and then I'll join on my regular setup. That
All right,
works for
good.
you.
I hope
That's
it sticks.
fine.
Yeah.
We'll see you soon.
She says it's on, so I'll
luck.
just
Go get
mute
warm.
myself and
Yeah.
Yeah. Go get warm.
Yeah. Good luck, Jim.
freeze
We're all
in that
counting on you.
Yeah.
60-degree weather.
My in-laws' power came on and it was on for about 5 minutes and then it went back off again. So that's why I was like, I hope it sticks.
Oh.
That's
that
just
seems
a
mean.
tease.
It's
Yeah.
cruel. Yeah.
Jeff, Jim just said something interesting there that I hadn't really thought about, but with the Apple Tech, and we are focusing, of course, on the Apple Tech, but it feels like that there's been a gamification of fitness, of productivity to some degree, of just a whole lot of things. And I really hadn't thought about it in exactly that way, but that is true. I mean, even entertainment, because now, well, shows like this where that we're not here singing and dancing, we're providing hopefully some entertainment, but also some information. And so it feels like maybe it's all starting to blend together.
Yes, it's all blending together, and I don't think that's healthy.
Really?
Yes, because when we start gamifying too much of what we do, like I'm looking specifically at the productivity side of things. Once we start gamifying stuff like that, now we are basically taking what we do every single day, and for many people, what is grinding them into the ground just to do their job every single day, and adding this layer of guilt on top of not being able to get everything done, because now they have to hit points or get a badge or whatever it is. And some days you can't be as productive as a game or a gamification would want you to be. And man, you should never feel bad about that. So I do like a little bit of the gamification as long as it's done in a healthy way for fitness. But yeah, I don't like it in the productivity side at all.
Could you give
Brittany?
some examples? I feel like gamify means something a little bit different to everybody, and I'm not sure what situation that is.
Of course, now I can't come up with any of the examples off the top of my head, but I remember seeing apps where if you were reaching your work goals, not workout goals, but your work goals, you get like a badge or something. and then you could compete with friends to see who got through their to-do lists, things like that.
I mean, it seems like some of those things would be hard to quantify. And if you've done something extra, or something required, I could see that as being problematic. I'm somebody who used to use Habitica like very regularly, which is literally gamifying your tasks. But in that case, it was me, Brittany, saying, these are the things I'm struggling with for motivation, and this is a way to help me with motivation. It probably literally wouldn't have worked if somebody else had assigned it to me. But for me at that point of life, it was intensely helpful. Because, I was a kid in the 80s, and I was good at getting those other coins and stuff. And, the part of the reason that it can be so addictive is because you can hit these achievements and they're concrete and measurable, and there's a reward attached to it. And with the theoretically simple task of finish thesis, I could break it down and make it act more like that other game that I had an easier time doing. And in that case, it was working, but I also was working on my cognitive neuroscience degree and noticed when something wasn't working, I could tweak it and basically use myself as an experiment, because that's what I always do. But yeah, I didn't have it thrust on me, so it wasn't like an extra thing necessarily, but I can see the downside and the upside.
Well,
for sure.
Now, Brittany, I can see where for you, especially the way you're using it, this was a positive thing and a healthy thing. And you had the self-awareness to be able to tell when something wasn't working. And
Right.
then you could decide what was the appropriate path at that point. I get concerned when there's people that this is thrust on them and they really have no choice. Where basically they're just completing every task throughout the day becomes, I hate to put it this way, but I'm going to anyhow, a KPI against compared to just another employee's, whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
But then there's also the people that they don't have that self-awareness like you have. And they may decide, oh, I need to gamify just getting through my to-do list every day. And they miss
Yes.
tasks, and now they don't deal with that in a healthy way.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. And as somebody who works with individuals, yes, what motivates an individual is different at a different person and at a different time and place. And it's very intensely personal. So yeah, I had not heard of companies doing that on a mass scale, which is a little scary. Thank you.
Yeah,
Brian,
scary.
Brian in the chat room brings up an interesting word. He says, seems like gamifying relates to an addictive quality of wanting to accomplish something, whether that's a level of a game, closing rings, getting a badge for completing a task, etc. Craig says swarm badges. And I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know what a swarm badge is.
Gamification of giving away all of our personal activity data to a company. So Swarm was a check-in application. Do you remember Foursquare?
Oh, sure.
So
and I remember
Foursquare split into two things, and the Foursquare part was the part that I can't remember that whole side of it. But Swarm was the part that the rest of us actually cared about, which was, hey, if I check in here at a conference and all my other friends are using Swarm, at the conference, I know which of my friends are in which session or what restaurant we're all going to. And then the rest of the time you don't use it because holy crap, you don't want to be giving away that much information. But yeah, getting badges to give up personal information. Gamifying our privacy. That's just creepy.
Yeah.
But
I'm going to tell you, being the mayor of stuff was pretty fun. It wasn't something I should have liked, and I totally liked it.
Well, I remember those days counting those things, and yeah, I guess so. But if you boil it down, it really didn't mean anything unless the place said, hey, we're going to give you an extra, hoagie or something because you're the mayor. But other than that,
that's why I liked it.
You like the extra hoagie, okay?
Yeah.
Friends would drive by my place and check in so they could be the mayor of my house.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did. David, we haven't gotten to you.
Yeah.
How do you use this, and what's your take on it?
Yeah, I'm not much of a gamer like many of us on this panel. I didn't really get into the gaming part. I mean, I use Apple TV to consume a lot of video content. I probably am in subscription fatigue these days because it seems like I'm subscribed. I'm looking at my Apple TV screen here. It seems like I'm subscribed to pretty much everything at this point. So, just liking the entertainment. I would also, also add my iPhones. I have the iPhone 12 Pro Max, and there'll be many times like, so that's not, I'm working from home. I would go down in my kitchen. I have a sitting area there we sit and I eat my meal, and I would watch something on Xfinity Stream, being a Comcast subscriber, and watch whatever shows I've recorded or any live TV. So I would consume it that way. Do the iPad as well with Apple, but the Apple TV does have a lot of conveniences by being on your TV. I know a lot of people are still questioning how is Apple TV still relevant? I know, Kel, you guys just talked about that the other day.
We did.
And it's hard to say with Apple TV its relevance, and I'm not trying to spin the topic away here, but I'm not a big smart TV fan. The smart TV interface, in my opinion, I don't think is very friendly. I decided on my one TV downstairs, I deleted all the apps, and there's nothing on there at all. I just want to focus on the Apple TV and then the Comcast hookup. And Apple TV has they've done a decent job with a lot of the apps, and especially with all the consumed products for your HBO Max, CBS, All Access, soon to be Paramount Plus, and Disney Plus, and all those. And it's easy to get to, but like my wife, she sometimes doesn't have the ease of being able to get to the Apple TV. I explained how to use it, but always ends up back to the Comcast. And like many of us, want us to cut the cord because you do spend a lot of money on that stuff, but Apple TV is going to give you a lot of that interface. So I'm hoping that Apple does do something with this interface. And there have been lots of rumors about that, but in a nutshell, that's pretty much what I do as far as consuming a lot of this stuff. And I do use my iPad as well, and iPad is definitely a good device to have. I have the 11-inch, so it's a little smaller screen, but definitely I would consume a lot of that video.
So does anybody feel like me that the Apple TV, the device, it's trying to serve two masters? It's trying to deliver content, but it's also trying to act as that gateway to other people's content through the use of their apps. And because I have an Amazon TV that is Alexa equipped, and I also have a Roku TV. And of the two, I think I prefer the Amazon interface, but
Really?
their reason for being is to deliver their content to me.
Right.
Roku is like this massive, incredibly large amount of channels, and so it sort of plays in the same space as the Apple TV, and so I don't know. I know there've been discussions about the Apple TV being irrelevant at this point. I'm not sure I agree with that, but on the other hand, I spend more time with my iPad than I do with my TVs. So, and I'm firing up a Netflix app to watch something on Netflix. Mark.
Yeah, if I could chime in here about the Apple TV, I think it still suffers from the problem. It's a separate device and control you have to put in your hand. And in our house, we've got 3 of them, but I'm the one who uses them. But for about 2 years or a little more since I got the big iPad Pro, I don't think we've used the Apple. We may not have used the Apple TV, or if so, it's only been once or twice. So I think the problem is it all comes back down to interface and controls, and the fact that you have to maybe set a separate HDMI input on your TV, and then you have the separate control in order to go and select content. It's just a gigantic pain in the butt, and my wife doesn't do that. So I think as maybe it was David was saying that the stuff goes back to all you want to do is pick something up and select a channel. You don't want to go through all these, this checklist of steps before you can see content. That makes it virtually impossible to access. And if you can't access it, it is virtually invisible. I think maybe for a lot of, shall I say, geeks like us here, we'll do it, if we want. And certainly what I found is for Netflix, you have a Netflix app, and for Apple TV, you have an Apple TV app. Is it better maybe if they're all accessed through one? That might have some incremental benefit, but it's really, really hard to put a value on it. So I think the battles over streaming and who's going to deliver content, these are certainly not won yet. And maybe going back to David's point, or a combination of David and Chuck's point that I interpolated was, is the Apple TV device itself obsolete? Well, maybe it is, to the extent that there's an Apple TV app for Apple content mirroring the other services out there. So that's sort of the way I thinking about some of this video. Is it's still a very fragmented user experience. And I'd like to go back to Chuck, because I don't have a Roku device, but certainly about that, would you compare and contrast, Roku versus Alexa, and hey Alexa, play Real Housewives of Orange County on Chuck's machine.
Mark looks forward to your letters.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because you just triggered the A lady.
Like you could probably see my shoulders crawling up as I'm like, you can't say the word, you can't say the word.
I know. I like to add too is I have all the interfaces just like you, Chuck, but I have all the individual devices, not the smart TVs. I have a Roku. I have the TiVo Stream, which is an Android TV. I have the Fire TV, because I want to see the interfaces. I want to experience it. I want to see what everybody else is looking at and experiencing. And I have to say, I kind of lean towards the Apple TV in the sense, because I think the interface is a little more friendlier. But I think a lot of people like the Roku better because of its price. You can get a Roku, the midline one. That's HD for $35, whereas an Apple TV is going to cost you $140, $150. So you got to look at it in that sense too. Plus, you also look at content. I know of one of the networks that IMDb has it as a TV streaming service. You could only watch that on the Amazon Fire. You can't watch that on any other device. So you got that in a sense as far as content as well. So that's where you got to measure it. Go back to the Apple TV app. With CBS All Access going to Paramount Plus, they're already pulling their content because that's what Apple wanted to do. They wanted to be an aggregator where they wanted to have all the content in one place in their app. Well, CBS is going to pull it out of there. They don't want it as part of the Apple TV app. So there's some potential changes with these stuff. And then you can add all these other services. You got free services like Pluto TV and others. I can go down that road, but there's just so much of the content that you can consume. You really got to look at the devices and see what's going to be best for you. And then I think Apple's got to get smarter with the pricing with the Apple TV, because what the Apple TV does is very similar to what those other lower price ones do.
But
I have
go ahead, Mark. No, go ahead.
I was going to shift the discussion a little bit. So Ken Ray featured on macOS Ken at the end of last week that apparently one of the Netflix co-founders was out there saying that if Apple really wants to be a success in streaming, they need to double down and they need to be more aggressive in funding content, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And Ken's sort of comment was, well, that's all good and well for him to say, but is he being objective or is he colored by his Netflix experience? And I thought about that, and then a couple of days later, I think I saw, in my RSS feed, somebody else had commented about or cited that interview that the Netflix co-founder guy had done, and I was thinking that's on one hand, yes, he may be biased by his experience with Netflix, but I think he's indicating that really the bar is really quite high. And it's not just Netflix. He could have said the same thing about Amazon, except Amazon is being very aggressive in going out and creating and funding content. So Apple seems to be, in third place, in the battle between those three. Arguably, they might be a little more focused and concentrated, and I think I'd say that they might have a little bit higher production content than some of the, there's all sorts of just really bland stuff on either Amazon Prime Video or on Netflix, but it's a battle. A typical Apple, quantity versus quality type of battle. But think about that. It seems that I don't see an end for the foreseeable future for this battle among all of these services, and I think they're all basically Appified. And to the extent they're Appified, I think that sort of nullifies the value of a device like the Apple TV.
See, and I want to get to Kelly and Jeff, but I want to say this. I do think that there are two battles going on. One that doesn't seem to be talked about a lot, or that gets overlooked, and that is that the battle for the device is not necessarily about the box. I think it's more about directing the content. And the battle for the content is the battle for the content. Star Trek on CBS versus Star Wars on Disney versus whatever on whatever. So I see two different battles going here. Kelly, you've been patiently chomping at the bit.
Trying so hard. So I think part of what David said about the Apple TV being friendly, I feel like you're really close. I feel like the F word that goes there is familiar. It's very much like an iOS screen. There's tiles across it. You can install an app from the App Store, and that's how you put something on the screen. And when you put one thing on the screen, nothing else is happening. It's a very familiar experience. So if somebody has an iPhone, they have an iPad, and you hand them an Apple TV, and don't hand them the remote. I'll get to that in a minute. But you give them an Apple TV to operate, it makes sense because, the little squares are apps, each app does a different thing. I put the things on here that I want the end. Like Chuck said, to your point, I 100% agree with you. The battle for content has nothing to do with the thing, what you plug into the television. It doesn't matter. The content battle is happening whether you have a Fire Stick, whether you have a Roku, whether you have a 4K Roku, whatever device it is that's taken up space in one of those HDMI ports on the back of your television. CBS turning into Paramount Plus is happening outside of the hardware decision. And, the one interesting thing that Apple does that the other ones don't do is the TV app. Someday we'll do an episode just on Apple's brilliant naming conventions. And the TV app lets you go out to all those places and get all of those things if you have subscriptions. So if you want to watch Stranger Things, if you want to watch The Mandalorian, if you want to watch The Expanse, it doesn't matter where it comes from. You go to the TV app and you go, I want to watch the next episode of The Expanse. And it goes, okay, here. And then you go, okay, that's done. That was cool. Now I want to watch WandaVision. And it goes and gets it. And it doesn't care. You don't have to care what service it's from. The TV app takes care of that for you. And for a lot of things, that's really nice. I feel like there's absolutely a place for the Apple TV, but not a place for the Apple TV that we have now. And I want to get to that, but I want to talk to Jeff about the TV app content situation, because I think that's a part that gets underrated some of the time.
Yeah, in our private chat, Jeff described himself as an Apple TV outlier. In what sense, Jeff?
Well, the feeling that I'm getting is that everyone, and I'm talking very generalized here, everyone is thinking, Apple TV as a device, its time has come and gone, and there are other ways that Apple can provide us with their content, and so maybe it's time to look at something else. Well, for me, the idea of the Apple TV device itself going away just is horrible. I have no interest in a smart TV at all, ever. I want a beautiful screen like I have today. I have an old Sony Bravia 32-inch television with an insanely beautiful screen still. And I plug in the one device that I need to be able to get all the content from every single service. And that's an Apple TV box. And it's great. So I just put on the apps for the services that I have, and I have a content nexus.
So
And
Jeff, how many other people like you are there out there? Because that's ultimately going to be guiding and directing what Apple ultimately does with their TV device.
well, hopefully there's enough, but also keep in mind that unless Apple can get a deal with every single television maker, you don't have Apple TV on every single television. But if you can sell me a little box that I plug into my television, now I have Apple TV on every single television.
And this kind of fits into our discussion from a couple weeks ago about who's got what with your data. I would rather Apple knows what I'm watching on TV than pretty much anybody else, especially a TV manufacturer.
Yeah.
I don't want the TV manufacturer knowing. So, I hope that the Apple TV box doesn't go away. I worry that it's priced so high that, it's like they're not even trying. It's like you just desperately, gotta, be like, I want an Apple TV. The only people that would buy it are people that are just,
Or on this panel.
one thing that I haven't seen mentioned anywhere about this particular aspect is, one group that all buys it is developers, because that's the only way you can watch WWDC talks live. Got to have it for that, unless you're going to watch them on your iPad. I don't know. Can these other like smart TVs, can you watch like lynda.com and stuff like that? I don't know if that,
I don't know.
I
Some
don't
have
know that
apps.
either, but I watch lynda.com on my Apple TV.
So
It seems like the box, the thing is, there are things it can do that nothing else can do, but it's not a lot. And especially for, the general, if they're just going to watch TV shows, then they're not going to care. But I will, somebody was saying, their wife didn't, my wife turns on the Apple TV all the time. So no problem. We watch all kinds of stuff. In fact, all we do is press the menu button and the TV goes like, oh, okay, there's something on HDMI too. In fact, the hard part is getting it back to regular TV.
this wife watches everything on the Apple TV. And the way that I do it is that I know, I'm me. I have a Harmony remote, and the Harmony remote has an Echo skill. So I say, hey, lady, turn on the Apple TV. And she powers up the amp, puts it on the right input, hits the menu command to wake up the Apple TV, turns on the television, switches the television to the right input, and then sends it back to me like, what do you want to do? So I can either use the Apple remote, I can use my phone, I can use the Harmony remote that I have. Having to configure that will possibly, well, Jim, you spend a lot of time in Xcode, so for you, it's probably awesome. But for anybody else, configuring it using Logitech software will possibly cause you to want to commit harm to yourself and or others. But once it's set up, it's a beautiful thing. And then you can tell the Echo to do whatever you want. I haven't quite figured out how to do it via HomeKit, but I can tell the A lady, turn on Apple TV. And also if I tell her it's Mando time, she will also dim the lights. So, because that's what happens when ridiculous people get a lot of free time and a lot of technology. So, but the thing about the Apple TV in particular, remote aside, I feel like Mark and David, this is a thing that you need to know, is that you should really accept the universal remote as your personal savior. The two things the Apple TV does right now that we have are the resident hub for HomeKit stuff. So that's one thing that you sort of get for free by having an Apple TV, is that it sort of holds all of that down for you. And it does gaming. And the reason that might matter is because as we get the next evolution of Apple TV, because right now it has to evolve, what we've got is too expensive. It doesn't have enough horsepower for what it does. It doesn't come in a stick flavor. So there's not something you can just poke in the side of the TV. You have to have like a power cord and an HDMI cable, and the whole thing has to live somewhere and take up space. And anybody who's ever used a Roku stick or a Fire TV stick will tell you like the stick is the way. There is none higher. And if you can just pop one of those in the side and call it good, and you're ready to rock and roll because all of the stuff that you subscribe to shows up on there, then it's a fantastic way to do what you want to do. And the game piece, I think, is going to get a lot bigger. And part of the reason we still have it, part of the reason Apple's funding Apple Arcade, part of the reason there are games, there's a game section in the App Store on the TV, on the Apple TV, even though it doesn't really seem to make any sense because there's not a lot that's fun there right now, is because Apple's working on the next thing, and that next thing is going to rely on an Apple TV, whatever next form it takes in its evolution. Once you throw enough magic candy at it, and it turns into the next thing, then it's going to end up being something that's going to be a good sidekick for the headset / glasses / other thing that Apple's going to give you to put on your face that's going to be amazing that we're all going to slobber over. So I think that piece needs to come, and I think that's why we've got some stagnation with the Apple TV that we have now. Why they couldn't drop $50 off of all of them, I don't know, because like I can get a 4K Roku for less than $50, and I can get a 4K Amazon Fire TV stick for $25, $35, something like that.
Yes.
Right. Yep.
The Roku stick fluctuates between like $45 and $50 generally. And the Amazon 4K is half that. And Apple's trying to tell me that it's like $170? $150?
Something like that.
For
It's way too much.
For a 4K
Kelly, I have a
puck,
hypothesis.
I would like to hear it because I wonder if it's the same as mine.
Okay, so here's my hypothesis. The reason that we see Apple TV priced, the device priced as it is today, is because Apple is intentionally leaving it there for psychological impact. Here's what I mean by that. At some point, hopefully soon, we get new Apple TV models that come out and they have new features and more horsepower. Maybe there's a stick model as well, and the prices come down. And so Apple gives us this amazing new device that has all of these amazing new features, and they give us a substantial price cut at the same time. And now everyone looks at it, assuming the PR works the way it's supposed to, and they say, holy crap, look at this amazing thing Apple made, and it costs so much less than the one we had before.
I agree.
They should just reduce the price now.
I want that to be true, but it wouldn't hurt them to take $20 off of both of them and call it
I
know
agree.
on this I agree with Jeff that if they're going to lower the price, why do it on an old obsolete from a hardware perspective box, use that to really go out and get attention.
Oh, I know.
And Apple's done that before. I mean, I think
want them to.
I think that was their. Remember back in 2007 when they first launched the iPhone, and then they came back, about 6 or 10 weeks later and said, "Oh, and we're cutting the price." And everyone was pissed off that they cut the price, but they gave everybody $200 of credit to spend with Apple. That was calculated, because if you go back and if you listen to the June quarter, conference call, they were talking about, they were having some promotion event coming up in the following quarter that would dramatically, cut into a margin. So, they were wink, wink, nod, nod. And what a better way to get attention and endear yourself to your target customers by offering a huge price decrease. Now, Jeff, we'll have to see. Well, let's come back in a year. Let's mark this down and see if this actually comes to pass, and if not, the year after that, because I think that could be a dramatic way that they could do it. Because until then, I agree with what Kelly and Jim were saying, that the current device is long in the tooth and overpriced, and this is not the first time that's happened. For the Apple TV.
And I can't even recommend it. Like, for being the Apple nerd I am, I can't even recommend it to anybody now anyway. Like, I want you to have the TV experience, but the way I'm going to tell you to do that is to
On
go
your
spend
MacBook
$50 on I'm going to tell you to spend $50 on a Roku stick and put the TV app on it. And that's how you get it done, because it's not worth it otherwise. And plus, like, the big things people want out of it, like Brittany, I know you mentioned, you have the 3rd gen Apple TV, like the pre-App Store Apple TV, and it's your AirPlay conduit. And there are a fair number of TVs now that will do AirPlay. There are TVs, privacy issues aside, there are TVs that do have the Apple TV app available. So if you want to bounce something off your TV off your phone to the TV real quick, there are TVs that will do that. Like, that was part of our conversation on TDO the other day, was Dave saying that they have a TV that has the TV app and AirPlay, and he doesn't need a box connected to it because those are the 2 things that he uses. So
Yeah, I would say
once is there.
I would say, going back to something Jim was saying about Apple TV, is before COVID-19 struck, and it was much more common, instead of using Zoom, that you go out and you would actually, meet, in a conference room, somewhere. The Apple TV, that was a perfect device for driving, the large screen
Perfection.
TV. And everybody goes in and they just log in. If it's password controlled, no, Mark, here's the password, and boom, you're able to launch the video, this great presentation. So in that way, it's sort of supplemented or replaced the projectors that people used to have. But
I know people who traveled with it in case they ended up having to give a presentation in a room that only had a projector, and they were like, 1 second, plug in the Apple TV, AirPlay to it, and move on. Yeah, I know a lot of people that did that. Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, I guess I just want to close on the point, not to beat a dead horse, but it seems like the current device is clearly in need of being refreshed, and the only question is, does Apple bag it entirely, like they've done with other prior hardware products? Most recently, think about Airport Extreme or Airport base stations, or do they invest and carry it forward and make a state-of-the-art product?
I have a question about Apple TV and gaming. As probably the only person here that's actually using Apple Arcade, can you do Apple Arcade on a smart TV that has Apple TV support?
That's a good question.
I don't think so.
All right.
No.
Well, then you can't get rid of an Apple TV product.
It's not going away.
But see, Jeff, I think you bring up a good point, and I expand on it a little bit. The idea that Apple controls that widget. I mean, it can control the app on the Apple TV app on other people's TVs, but if you've got that hardware device, it still gives you all kind of options to add things. Apple Arcade may be one of them. You may have just identified one that can't be had any other way. So, just to circle back for a minute, your point about the TV, the Apple TV pricing. Yeah, there's no point. If anything, dropping the price now would just signal that something new is coming out. So I'm with you. Hold it where it is until you're ready, and then kill it either with a new device that is just so amazing it can hold the price, or drop the price and have all the new stuff. I do want to say, go ahead, Mark. Well, I want to get in the chat room. Brian in the chat room says, I most use my Xbox to watch programming from the streaming platforms. I love Apple TV Plus, but don't own a physical Apple TV device. I watch Apple TV Plus on Xbox, Fire Sticks, and iPad. Craig says, I use Apple TV on one TV and Fire Stick on another, and usually Comcast on the third TV. I have all the devices, Apple TV, Roku, Fire Stick, and Cube. Way to go, Craig. Yes, I do want a new Apple TV now. I'm waiting. Yeah, aren't we all? So I'm sorry, Mark, go ahead. Or did I blow your thought? Sorry.
Yeah, you may have blown it out, but oh yeah, I know what it was. I was thinking, when would a logical update be? And certainly Apple's gotten very adept at having video conference based releases. So who knows? They might do something like that. But absent that, it seems like the next logical thing might be June at WWDC, because that was last year, right, when they introduced they were doing Foundation. So that might be a logical, sort of, update point, for them.
I thought it was March. I thought it was last March when we got the Showtime event. Or wait, I think it was the Showtime event when they mentioned Foundation, but I could be wrong about that.
You may be right. I seem to remember. I seem, for whatever reason, I thought it was June, but it could have been earlier. But,
Well, what I'm hoping,
but still, the show's not here.
Oh no, I know. Well, they're working on it. They got a little waylaid.
There was
Yeah.
a pandemic.
If you're wondering why, look
In their
behind you,
defense.
Mark.
I'm not criticizing them. I understand.
What I hope is that we get a new event, that we get an event in March. We have gotten events in March in the past for iPads. And we used to get them, I think, Jeff, I was on a podcast with you and came up with the term Malladay for all of the malls that are closed on Easter. And Apple
forgot about that.
And Apple kept releasing like Good Friday, the Friday before Easter is when the new iPad comes out. And so you can get one Friday, you can get one Saturday, but everything's closed on Sunday. So you can't get one. And that's when Apple decides the new stuff needs to happen. So I'm hoping there's a March event. I have a whole separate story about why I really want there to be a new one. But I would like if we got the new iPad Pro, because the new iPad Air, like, unless you need LiDAR, the iPad Air is what you want in life right now. Everyone wants one. I don't care who you are. And so I'd like to see what they're going to do next with the iPad Pro. So I'd like the iPad Pro to get its own event, and maybe we get the TV and the iteration of AirPods we've heard so much rumbling about. And like those three things would be a solid video event that we're all invited to.
Brittany, you brought up something in the chat room. I'll let you ask it. And because Jeff answered it, I have my own answer, but so go right ahead.
Oh, I was just curious, for many people who do not see a problem with just using the features built into their TV, like the members of my household who have outvoted me. What features could the Apple TV possibly have to justify the current price point that they might be reserving?
It serves beer and coffee in the morning.
Straight to my door, I'm in.
I'll take
There.
two.
There, Jeff, you had a response, and then I'll have mine too.
All right. So my response is kick it up a notch with Apple TV as a gaming console, and make it more powerful for gaming. And now you start getting higher end games that you see on like PlayStation and Xbox. Now they'll be available for Apple TV, and make Apple TV so that it is a VR device as well. So now you just get, in this case, probably Apple's VR headset and sensor gear, and it just automatically syncs up with your Apple TV, and now you're doing VR gaming.
And my point, I guess, would be this may not be a popular point, but they didn't do much in the way of price reduction on the Mac Pro all those years that it didn't get updated. They just held the line. That's sort of their philosophy, that, okay, this is the cost of this, and we don't drop prices. We don't play that game. Is that right or wrong? I don't know, but that seems to be, for the most part, Apple's modus operandi. So,
Yes. But unless, Jeff is right and it will sway actual gamers, which I would also be slightly dubious about Apple being able to do, just hasn't historically been their strength. But unless they're able to do something like that, at the moment, it's supposed to be a conduit for entertainment, and increasingly your TV can already do that. And access those things, or you have discovered another way, while it has been this thing that was ridiculously in the price limbo. Whereas eventually they're gonna make a Mac Pro that is a current computer that is still a hole in their lineup, and it still had a use case. And I'm a little bit worried that time will make at least the current Apple TV use case obsolete.
I go back to my earlier point, though, Brittany. I don't know that it's going to be made obsolete because of that second battle. Apple is controlling the experience. And whether you like that control or not, I mean, there are things about it that I like better than the Amazon or the Roku. There are things that I don't like. I mean, frankly, I'm not a big fan of the Roku, period. I prefer the Amazon over that, the Apple TV, the two of them kind of go back and forth. So, but I think there's this battle for directing you to the programming more than having the programming itself.
Yeah, and the only problem with that, and this is just purely from like a speculation angle, is there were lots of people who would have still been very interested in the controlling the whole widget of our Wi-Fi.
Yeah, but that felt like a little bit different angle. I mean, I
The
think
only
there were.
the only reason
Sorry.
they might stay here is just their interest in their own services, and increasingly services tend to drive them, and they may keep it there just to uh give sway to the services angle, but I don't know.
Well, and who's to say they wouldn't get back in the Wi-Fi game at some point if they could find a big enough, good enough differentiator. I mean, but that was one of those things that seemed to be a place where money was being sunk into and was going to have to continue to be sunk into it because of security and
Yes.
technology advances, but also security. And at some point, it's like, okay, this is something that is best left for the heavy duty security people. Maybe in hindsight, they regret not staying there because privacy has become such a big thing. But I just, there's something about Apple wanting to control the entire experience from the time you pick up that remote or choose to watch program X to when program X starts on your screen. That just screams, I want the hardware box there as an option.
So if I interject here, this idea about an Apple and some sort of airport device relative to privacy is, I was thinking earlier before when Jeff was saying that all he wants is basically a panel that he can plug his Apple TV into. The challenge with a lot of the smart devices, smart TVs out there is, they're all infested and they're all sending, everything, they're phoning home on everything you watch and when. And, there are, companies that are in the ad tracking enablement business that, tend to face towards companies who want to buy and place ads. Its trading symbol is a 3-letter acronym. It reports earnings, 2 days later, this week. So, and it's been a gigantic rocket. I'm not going to say anything else about it, except I know I've mentioned it once before, Chuck, on one of your shows. And for them, one of their growth areas, they're talking about, smart TVs, because in the past, what they've done is they've sort of agglomerated data together. So if you're watching or browsing on a phone or tablet, at home or at Starbucks or at your office and vice versa, and you buy at the office or you buy at home, they can pull all this stuff together and then present ads to you. So for them, a growth area is home TVs. They want to figure out, what are you watching? So should we present, what sort of ad should we present? Should it be, medicine for all people, or should it be Pelotons? And that's, that's the nature of the world that we're going into. So it would not be, unimaginable to imagine, if Apple had some sort of repurposed, whether it's the Apple TV with networking capability or some sort of other device, where they would provide network security functions and just block a lot of this crap reporting of intelligence back to one or multiple sources. Now, is there a business case for that? I don't know. Is there something I would like? Yes, certainly I would, because as I was saying a couple of weeks ago when we had the discussion about your data, I don't object at all to how companies use your data. For me, it's about personal liberty, and you should know if you're being tracked and if you're funneling your data into somebody else. And unfortunately, right now, smart TVs that's another focus area where stuff is being slurped up and distributed. So You can only dream what Apple might do in that space, but I tend to think that they're not. I don't think they'll make a play in that area. They seem to be on this track of whatever their VR AR device is, a car behind that, and continuing to be on this battle for controlling the app and experience. And increasingly, that's becoming part of understanding what privacy implications are and how much apps slurp out of your phone or other device and send up to the creator of the app.
Yeah. So a point, and we're out of time, so we're going to go around the table and plug ourselves. But 2 more comments from the YouTube chat room, and this is one we haven't even touched on. But Craig says, for sports, Apple TV, you can watch 4 screens at once on ESPN. Great for things like college football and even multi-sports. Select one of the 4, and you can pop it out too. And then Brian agreed with Craig and says, I do the same thing on the ESPN app on Xbox as well. Great feature. So, there you go.
So are they saying that's an Apple TV box feature that isn't on other things?
Well, Craig indicates that it's on the ESPN app on Apple TV. Brian says that the same thing is on the ESPN app on Xbox. I don't know because I haven't done it.
It's the ESPN app lets you do that. So yeah,
Okay.
So that's sort of the thing about Apple TV is it has apps, which is a different thing than a channel. So,
Yes.
Apple hasn't done that much about, when it came out, when the Apple TV 4 came out, they were like, they kind of made a big deal about apps and they kind of tried to get developers to develop apps. And then they seem to have just sort of wandered off and forgotten about that. And they put a lot of emphasis on this Apple TV app, but that's just their app. When, it seems like what differentiates the Apple TV box, is that it can run third-party apps, and all these other solutions don't. So, does Apple, see the value in that still? If they do, then that's what the Apple TV box is for.
Well, there's something to be said for the ecosystem, because the ESPN app is similar if you watch on an iPad to what you get when you do it on the TV. And MLB at bat, from people I know, who use that. I don't watch a lot of baseball, but it's a similar experience. So, and I know that part of that comes down to that the OS is in essence the same. It's still like tvOS starts life as iOS, and then they add some other pieces to it in order to turn it into tvOS. So I think that makes a difference as well. And part of that, so I think part of it is the ecosystem, and it comes back again to owning the experience. Apple can make it very easy for there to be a TV app for your video streaming service that looks exactly like what it looks like on the iPad, because it's almost all the same code. And that makes it very easy for people who go, gosh, I really like watching all this TV on my iPad. Wouldn't you like to watch it on your television? Ooh, and now you can, and it looks very similar. And it's very easy for a developer to do that, for somebody like ESPN to go, yeah, you can do this in our app. And I don't know if it's monumentally harder on the other side, but ESPN is a company that can throw enough developer resources at it to make sure that experience is the same across everything. And not everyone who does it can. And I feel like there's a huge difference between an app and a channel. And I like how Roku does it. And I like that it's very easy to get the stuff on Roku that you can get, but it's a different experience. I'm not going to say it's better or worse, because depending who you are and like what your current viewing situation is, that's not it. It's different for everybody. So that might be the answer for you. My dad has a Roku stick and loves it. And he bought it because I bought him a Roku box when he decided to cancel cable. And he uses the Roku box all the time, and bought a Roku stick for another television. And now that's the one he uses the most and thinks it's fantastic. So I think there's something to be said for it. And I think, like I said before, I think there's a place for the Apple TV in Apple's product offering, for lack of a better term, going forward. I think there's absolutely a place for it, but I don't think it's the place it has currently occupied. I think it's going to evolve as Apple continues to evolve, and we get different stuff from them, and things need to be able to work together. And I think when we get that, it'll be the same sort of thing we've talked about before. Like, what Apple's doing right now doesn't make any sense. And then if we look back on now from 2024, when we're all doing this in person, then we can come back and go, Well, now, of course, standing here and looking back at 2021, now all of this makes sense.
And Kelly, that's where I want to wrap. And because I agree with that completely. You know, too often we pass judgment based on what we have in front of us right at the moment. And we don't have the foresight to say, hey, you know, they could do that. And that would make perfect sense. And then they bring it out and like all of a sudden, yeah, that made perfect sense. We just didn't have the complete picture. So
yeah.
Guys, it's been fun. Thank you. Thank you for indulging me a little bit in shifting the focus away from what we typically do. But I think it's a good discussion and definitely positioning Apple for the future. It's very interesting. So let's go around the room and let everybody get out of here with a little note about where folks can find you. And I'm going to reverse it this time, but my screen has gotten completely confused with people jumping in and out, getting power back, you know, taking phone calls. So Kelly, you're up first this time. Where can we find you?
You can find me weekdays on the Mac Observer Daily Observations podcast. I'm there 5 days a week talking about current Mac issues and news of the day and whatever topics we feel like, including Security Friday, where we talk about the different data breaches, what Facebook is currently doing with your data, and also a practical tip so that you can keep your stuff safe. You can also find me over at the Incomparable Network, where I am headed almost as soon as we are done here, because I'm going to record a new episode of Maximoff Overdrive, which is the podcast we started up about WandaVision. And the rest of the time, you can find me on Twitter as Verso or over at the After Show that I host with Mike Rose.
Great. Thanks for being here, Kelly. Appreciate it. I hope you get your normal office back soon.
Me too.
Jim Ray, fully powered and ready to go and warm again even. Where can folks find you?
For work, you can find me at provue.com, PROVUE.com. And then I'm on Twitter at ProViewJim, same weird spelling on Twitter.
Great. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the extra effort too, especially at the first part of the show to be here. Appreciate it.
It's completely dark outside now, so I don't know what would have happened if the power hadn't come back.
Well, we just had the glow of the iPad illuminating your face. Brittany, it's great to have you. Thank you for being here. Where can folks find you?
Thanks for having me. On Twitter, I'm the ADD Liberator. It's just ADD Liberator. And actually this week, as we're speaking right now, I'm on the latest episode of Productivity in Tech, the Pitch Show. And I felt like we had a really good conversation there, especially about ADHD. And if you're interested in my productivity stuff, it is at conquer.consulting.
Great. Thanks so much. Glad you're part of the team here.
Thank you.
Mr. Fuccio, when you're not throwing beads at the Mardi Gras, or maybe catching them, I'm not sure. Anyway, where can folks find you?
Short and sweet, Twitter at MARKFUCCIO, at Mark Fuccio on Twitter, or Mark Fuccio on LinkedIn.
Great. Thanks for being here, Mark. Mr. Gamet, I didn't forget you this time around. But you forgot it was Tuesday, so.
It's true. Seriously. Absolutely true. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm Jay Gamet both places. I get around. I'm here. I'm here a lot now.
Every week.
Which is a lot of fun.
We like it.
Yeah, I was on macOS Ken last week, and there's something coming up soon, and I forgot what it. Google me. I'm easy to find.
Great. Call Jeff's agent. He can tell you where Jeff will be at any given moment.
Which is good because apparently I can't.
Thanks for being here, Jeff. Yeah, Jeff has people. Yeah. David Ginsburg, thank you for showing up as always. Where can folks find you?
Happy always to be here. You can find me at In Touch with iOS at intouchwithios.com. Chuck, you'll be on the show this week. I'm looking forward to that. And of course, you find me here, British Tech Network. I'm on the Mac show most weeks. Also on Mac to the Future live cast on Facebook with Guy Searle and Warren Sklar. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram, DaveG65. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is Mac Voices. Join us next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We do this again, Mac Voices Live, both on YouTube and on Facebook. We'd love to have you in the chat room. Join us. And I want to once again say thank you so much to the folks in the chat room for contributing, for hanging out with us. It's always a blast. We look forward to seeing you back here next week, too. Until then, and as always, thanks for watching.
Good night.
Thank you, guys. That was good. That was fun.
That was fun.
I honestly didn't know exactly where this conversation was going to go when I picked the topic, but I thought, well, we'll take a shot and see what happens.
I'm like, I'm
Always
really going to go watch a show on Apple TV and do a podcast about it as soon as we're done here. So yeah, this is a good conversation to
I gotta
have.
go listen. I'm all caught up. I'm absolutely loving that show.
It is so much fun.
It is.
Like watching WandaVision is super fun, but then getting to go talk to Don and Lisa about it later is even more fun because the last episode we just evolved. I don't know how many of y'all are listening to the whole thing, but the one I posted yesterday, we just start pitching ideas for different MCU TV shows that we want to watch. So like we want, the Golden Girls, but with Marvel heroines.
I would pay to watch that.
I would so watch that. I would watch that so hard. And then we were, like Wakanda PI, I think was one that I came up with. How would that not be amazing? Right? I mean, come on.
You people have too much time on your hands.
No,
Yeah, I
that's
want
not
to watch
it at
that
all.
show too.
With that, I have to go, but I have so enjoyed sitting here with all of you, even though I'm in exile.
You too.
It's been super great, and I'm pleased to death to see all of you. And Jim, I'm really glad your power came back.
It's not the crisis that it would be if it was 0 degrees, but
I know.
I'm, glad I'm not sitting here in the dark.
Yeah.
We all are.
Hey, Kelly, hang around for just a second. I'm going to say goodnight to the chat room and stop the live feed. Thanks, folks. We'll see you next week. Stay out of trouble. And if you're in the path of cold or snow, please be warm and safe.